Welcome to the 5-Year You podcast, a show dedicated to helping you become the best version of yourself one day at a time. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Kat, and we promise to keep it raw, real, and relatable.
Are you ready to grow? Hey 5 Tribe, welcome back. Today's episode is called How to Stop Procrastinating. And the irony of this is that it took us so long to finally get to this episode that it's going to be a good masterclass in this. I am your co-host Andrew, and with always is Kat. How are you doing today, Kat?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. You know, it's so funny. As we were getting ready, we kind of said, okay, we'll meet you in the studio in 10 minutes. And something happened. I hung this bag on the door and it's making a crackling noise when I open the door. Silly thing. And my first thought is, oh, that's annoying. I need to deal with that. And I walked away, of course, not dealing with it, because why would I deal with it in that exact moment? And then I stopped, turned around. I'm like, this is a 3-second thing. So I went and I took it off and put it in, like, by the garbage to go throw it out. But that's us, right? It's like procrastination is just embedded in us for some reason. So you want to maybe talk about yourself in procrastination, since I've shared my
What do you
cardboard bag
mean?
story?
What do you mean, me? Why would I need to talk about procrastination? Yeah, it's funny because I knew that this would be a helpful episode. I know this is something a lot of people struggle with, but I kept telling Andrew, I do not feel like I can come on this and to help people with this. I am still trying to help myself. But then I thought, every episode we do, we tell our listeners, like, the biggest thing is self-awareness. We're not coming to you as experts. We're merely here to report our journey to our best selves in 5 years. And if we learn something, if we read a good book, if we do some type of hack that's like helpful or whatever helps our mental health, our physical health, we share it with you. And so, like many people, I, of course, struggle with procrastination. I am a writer. I have been a full-time self-employed writer for almost 15 years now. And it's sort of like the writer personality, right? Like, we need deadlines. The deadlines make the work happen. We push things too close to the deadlines. But it's so many other things, too. And so I'm coming to the show today with different tips and tricks and how I have hacked this about myself. But I also want to come to the show with compassion, because this is one area of my life I tend to beat myself up about. And we're all about being kind to ourselves on this show and befriending ourselves in our mind. And so I also want to highlight that part too.
Yeah, I think kindness to ourselves is always like one of the things that we preach. Is we tend to beat ourselves up for all these things. When it comes to procrastination, I do believe that it is our brain's way of preserving energy. I mean,
yes,
we can label it as lazy, but it's really not that. Like, your brain is designed to save energy, to conserve energy for when you really need it, for when that lion attacks, for when, the scary moment happens. So there is an evolutionary kind of thing built into us with this. So kind of knowing that helps to go that it's not entirely anybody's fault. It's how we're wired. The way I procrastinate is the same way. It's like, if you don't have a deadline, if it doesn't need to get done, like, I know after this episode, I need to produce this podcast and get it published. If I don't have a deadline, it will sit until the pain of not doing it is greater than the pain of doing it. Yeah. And so one of my tricks is to try to mentally make the pain of not doing it bigger than doing it. And that way it gets me to start taking action sooner. But I can't do that for every single thing in my life, because it's just too painful, believe it or not.
Yeah. And I think that so many personal development gurus and podcasts would come at this episode and say, okay, here are a bunch of hacks that can work. But I love that you brought up the evolutionary aspect of it, because our goal on this show is to kind of comfort you and help you and give you some more self-compassion. When I learned this, that evolutionarily we are built to preserve energy, that was life-changing for me. It almost, not that it gave me permission to procrastinate, but it helped me make sense of my biology. I think it's Elizabeth Gilbert that says there's 4 kinds of people and how we work and how we operate. And I am somebody that works based on accountability. That's how Andrew and I met and got started. We had a meeting every Wednesday when we were friends, long before we were business partners, where we just kept accountable to each other. I'm going to do these things this week because I thrive on accountability. There's other people who thrive on like rebellion, and there's all these different things, but only 1 out of the 4. So very small segment of the population does not need accountability. We probably all kind of know those people. If you are one, I mean, congratulations.
You're
That's
not listening
great
to
for
this
you.
episode if you're one of those
You
people.
probably did not search about this because you don't have problems with procrastination, and that's super cool. But for the rest of us, this is helpful. So it also helped me to know that such a small segment of the population doesn't procrastinate. It's just how they're wired. It's just part of their thing. They don't need other people to tell them what to do. So if you're a part of the other 3/4 of the population, then it's just super, super normal. And it's your body telling itself, that's going to take too much energy to do that. I'm going to do this lesser thing. I'm going to scroll on my phone. I'm going to go get a snack, because all of those things take less energy than like doing your work or this big project. So that is the very first step, is self-awareness and self-compassion. There's nothing wrong with you. This is a very normal part of the human experience, and the vast majority of the population has to overcome procrastination in some form or another.
Yeah. And I think we all are a little hard on ourselves with that. You're absolutely right. This is the first step. I want to just switch this around to saying that none of us are bad at doing things. We are all getting stuff done in our capacities, one way or another, to our best of our abilities. And I think we kind of beat ourselves up, and that weight that we put on ourselves for not doing all the things we think we should be doing in any given moment just makes us feel worse. And when you feel worse, it's really hard to get motivated to go do it. And you and I often talk about keeping the log lit, whereas like once you get kind of motivated and you start moving forward, you want to kind of keep that momentum going. But we're a long ways from that when we're talking about procrastination and the battle that goes on in our head or on the couch while we're sitting there and going, gosh, I really should go do the laundry, or I should really email that person back, or I should really do A to Z, or A to Z, you guys say Z down there. And I said Z to an American the other day, and they're like, what letter is that? And it just kind of blew my
We just
mind.
made it up.
We just made it up. Anyway, total aside. I think when we are looking at the motivation to stop procrastination, we need to understand our own being and then work with how we are. So what are some of the ways you work with how you are with this stuff?
Yeah. Well, I think that this is something I've struggled with for a long time. And again, it's very enlightening to understand that why we all think that we should be doing all of these things. Especially in North America, you have to understand that our society places value on productivity, getting things done, and accomplishments. And what we teach at 5-Year U, what we teach to our coaching clients, is our layers of life framework, which teaches people how to live their lives from the inside out, from how you want to live, what accomplishment means to you, what success means in your life, and not defining what you do by the bounds of society. Because as somebody who did the little checkbox of society, of the school and the degrees and the picket fence and all the things, it's never enough. You never feel like you are there yet. And it is designed to completely exhaust us, right? Yeah. And there's so many other cultures and other parts of the world that really value rest. And so for me, it wasn't about doing a hack to hack my personality on procrastination. It really took that deep dive of like, how much time do I want to have? How much work do I want to take on? How much do I want to outsource? Because previous me that was so stressed, she was developing autoimmune diseases, was packing every single thing into every single second of the day and getting so stressed when deadlines were coming close. I just had to take a breath and
Take a breath
decide
there.
what I really wanted. No, I meant, well, yeah, like actually there, but
But even right now, you're going back
I know
into
I'm
that
getting worked
being.
up because
Yeah.
like my body remembers what that was like. And so that was really the first thing for me, is to decide, what do I really want? Even how much money do I really need? Like where is the balance between having rest time and time with my kids, and what is enough? Right? Because the procrastination thing, we tend to really pile it on. But yeah, so I don't know if you want to comment on that. I'm still good to share hacks, but
Yeah, no, I
Mhm.
think that's a really good thing. And I went through the same journey in a different way, right? I had the big house, I had the job, I had the career, I had all the accolades, all the trappings of success, and they really are trappings.
Traps.
And then I had to look at it and go, my whole life is just feeling like I have to keep doing these things that I have no interest in doing. I don't like yard work. I don't like maintaining a house. I don't like a lot of the things that I'm doing right now. And so I was putting them off. And now I look at it as like my body was really, my head and my body were like, yeah, something's not right here, and I put it off. So I think when we work with our clients on the layers of life and we look at all this stuff, a lot of times what we'll see is just this incongruence in lifestyle. It's like, well, no, I need to have this house. This house defines who I am. I need to have this title. It defines who I am, but it never actually feels good. And I know this is kind of getting away from the procrastinating thing, but I'm going to try my best to tie it back in. So sometimes we are putting off things because there is literally no interest in doing it. There's literally no desire, no drive to do it. And yeah, there are certain things you got to do. You got to bathe once in a while, folks. You got to brush your teeth. You got to do all these things. It's just it's called being human. You signed up for it when you came down. But otherwise, there are a lot of things that are actually optional, and you might be doing them because you think somebody else is going to be happy because you're doing it and nobody else really cares. It's just you. So give yourself time to look at, like, why am I procrastinating cleaning the house? Well, guess what? I hate cleaning. So do I outsource it? Do I simplify and minimalize so I have less stuff? There might be some hidden messages in the reasons why you are procrastinating. And I think that the mental aspect of this game is
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's really good. We are going to share actionable tips. So, but the very first tip is self-awareness, like Andrew said, and ask yourself, you're stressed, you got too much to do, you're putting off stuff, right? You feel like you're not good enough, you feel like you're not accomplishing the things. So ask yourself, number one, why don't I want to do these things? And number two, am I trying to do too much? Maybe part of the reason you're procrastinating is you have way too much on your plate and it's just impossible to get it all done. All right, so now I will move into once you've done those things and you might need to take some things off, maybe some things you can't take off. My very first tip is to ask yourself, how will future me feel when I do this? So I'm not a big fan of cleaning either. I do not want to do the dishes at the end of the night after the kids go to bed. And it's taken me a long time to develop this little question in my mind. I'm going to give myself the gift of this in the morning. And I will even say, oh my gosh, the cat of tomorrow morning is going to love that I'm doing these dishes right now. Oh my gosh, the cat of tomorrow morning is going to love that I'm washing my favorite coffee cup. It's going to be clean in the dishwasher in the morning. And in order to do that, there's a whole journey of like starting to care about yourself. This is a self-worth journey too. Ask yourself, will I make myself happy tomorrow? Let me be the person. Let me be my best friend and make my day easier on me tomorrow. Last night, I spent 2 hours on research and outlining an article I have due. Sometimes I do it all in one day, and it's this like epic journey of a whole day where I'm like stressed and squeezing stuff in between like my kids' activities. But I'm like, future me who has to write this article by the deadline is going to be so happy that I spent 2 hours researching and prepping it. And there was a time where I wasn't trying to make my life easier. When you're having like issues with self-worth, you don't feel like you deserve somebody to be nice to you. But when you start being nice to you and when you start making future you's life easier, when you start, making your kids lunch the night before so it's ready in the morning, when you put your favorite coffee cup out, you're like leaving little love notes to yourself for the next day.
I really like that. That is such a good idea. Leaving little love notes to yourself. Isn't that like the ultimate self care? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
It
you know,
is.
you So I just love that. What else do you got?
Well, light the first log. I have been using that. I learned this from a graduate school professor, and this is true for me. This is why I did my little research last night for my article, is because when I break the streak, when I stop the train of thought, it takes so much energy to go from 0 to 1. It takes
Mhm.
almost no energy to go from 1 to 2. And so I remember like kind of getting in a slump in graduate school, went to graduate school for history. And I remember telling my professor, like, how do you write so much? Like, how do you do? Like, I just feel like I can't even put my fingers to the keyboard. And she's like, you got to write the first sentence. You have to not worry if it's the worst sentence in the world. You have to not worry if it's grammatically incorrect. You got to write the first sentence because the first sentence leads to the next sentence. That's what editing is for, right? And so sometimes, even if I'm totally exhausted, that was many years ago. Now we have voice to text. Sometimes I will literally lean back in my desk chair with my eyes closed and I will talk my article out to the computer. And look, it is, I'll tell Andrew, who'll be like, oh, well, did you get your article done today? Or like, where are you at? I'm like, it's at the janky stage. And he knows that means I like voice to text it and I like slap some stuff down. It's going to come out like so shiny nice, but I lit the first log. And once that, everything else catches.
I like that. I also like, there's something else in there that works for me. And you talked about like, just writing that first line, again, getting that momentum.
Mm-hmm.
With writing, one of the things that they say to do so that when you come back to it, it's like you leave in mid thought. And so a lot of times, if you leave something kind of partially done or like, 75% of the way done, you're going to come back to it and it's easier to do that last part. So, if there's like three dishes in the sink because you've been putting them away, that's a lot easier to finish the task. And when you finish it, that procrastination kind of, you get that dopamine hit,
Yep.
and you're like, okay, I'm somebody who does things, and that will just propel you forward to keep doing more of it. And one of the things you and I have been talking about is scaffolding, which is introduced to me in Hidden Potential, Adam Grant's latest book at the time of recording this. And what it is he talks about how all these people that are really productive at things, are really good at things, are no different than the people that are really bad at things. It's just that they have set up systems and structures to help with things. And he uses the idea of scaffolding with the marshmallow test. Remember, there was like, they put 5-year-olds in front of a marshmallow and said, if you don't eat this for 5 minutes, you'll get 2. But if you eat one now, you won't get any more. The kids that went the 5 minutes or whatever time length it was weren't just sitting there staring at it. They had scaffolding of not, and like the support structure of not looking at the marshmallow or sitting on their hands or distracting themselves. So when it comes to procrastinating, a lot of it can be in the setup of, all I have to do is just write that last line of the email or finish the second half of that email. I already got the first thing started. All I have to do is just clean the sink since I already cleaned the toilet. All I have to do is this because I already did this, or finding other ways to support the production and to support that momentum. For me, a lot of times it's just knowing what the reward is afterwards. And the reward doesn't have to be anything significant. It'd be scrolling on your phone for 5 minutes if that's what delights you. But being able to go, okay, when I, load the dishwasher, do the dishes, then I'm going to give myself a piece of chocolate. I love a good piece of dark chocolate. That's really one of our guilty pleasures these days. And that's it. It doesn't have to be, a trip to Disney World. It can just be this little thing that you do. Also, Disney World kind of gets expensive every time you load the dishwasher, so you don't want to maybe do that. But those are the things that you can add to your toolkit. And I found that to be incredibly resourceful for me because it makes me want to do it. It incentivizes, and again, the pleasure of doing it, which is really what we're talking about here, of getting it done, becomes more weighted than the pain of or the pleasure of not doing, of staying idle.
Yeah, to go along with the scaffolding idea and setting up your environment for success, again, it's very difficult for people to get into a deep work mode these days. There are so many distractions, so many notifications. And so there was long periods where I would just I could feel myself wanting to go check Instagram and things like that. So mentioned this on the podcast before, but I use the Opal app. The Opal app is a much more serious phone blocker than the Apple embedded phone blocker. So Apple allows you to block certain apps for certain times a day, but it's really easy to undo it or to bypass yourself. The Opal app, I think it's about $80 a year. Well worth it for me. Opal is kind of wild because it'll tell you, it'll say this week, your average screen time was this. When you downloaded the app, you were going to spend 20 years of your life on your phone. And now, based on your habits now, you've gotten 15 years of your life back. And when it's presented to you in that way, you're like, oh my God, 15 years. And it's like based on your lifespan and like your gender and all these different things. And you just don't think about it when you sit there and scroll about how time adds up. And so I use that all day long. And my favorite thing about it is that when I accomplish something, Opal makes you like think about it. It makes you like, breathe in and out for 7 seconds before you unlock it. And it'll let me have like a 5 minute break. So if I have my lunch, I can like look at Instagram for 5 minutes during my lunch. And I'm like, okay, like I'm updated. Nothing new here still. Or I can check on different things that are fun. And I have everything blocked that would distract me. All social media, Facebook, Amazon, Reddit, any stupid like games, like anything that I could try to trick myself to doing, I put up that scaffolding. And also when I really need to get deep work done, I have Bose noise canceling headphones and I put on binaural beats, which is music designed to help you get into a deep focused state. You can get a subscription to brain.fm for that, but then brain.fm also has a YouTube channel or they have several free 30-minute ones. And so I just use the free one on YouTube all the time. And it's like my brain knows that when it hears that and the noise canceling headphones are on and the Opal is blocking all my things, like that's how I get in the zone. It sounds crazy that I need that many things to
No.
do, but the world is a very distracting place. And that is what I have developed that works for me.
I don't think it's crazy or anything like that. I think you are fighting against a system that has been designed to take your attention in very small increments and keep you going away from the things that you're supposed to do. That 7 seconds is interesting because we've been looking into like anger and like gut reactions, and 7 seconds is that time that your amygdala kind of activates before your frontal lobe, prefrontal cortex. Your logic brain can come in and go, wait, we don't actually need this. So when you said 7 seconds, I'm like, that is just amazing because that's what it's doing. It's taking that gut instinct in your amygdala and going, okay, breathe. Do you really want to do
You
this?
sure you want to do this? Yeah.
Yeah. And then then logic kind of comes in 7 seconds later and it's like, yeah, no, I was just bored for a second and lizard brain kicked in. Yep. I really like all those things. I think, you have like these different cues, right? When I put on my headphones, I know that it's deep work time. When I do this, I know it's that. So when we're talking about procrastination, the first thing is just to know that you are fighting against a system. And I hate to use those like, strong words, but you're fighting against a system that is, first of all, evolutionary to save energy. Then you're fighting against the system that outside of you that is designed to keep your attention scrolling or just, staying idle and consuming. Okay. So first you need to know that. One of the best things that I have done, and we've talked about it before, is the 5-minute rule. And it's that if this thing is going to take me less than 5 minutes and it's in my brain, I need to go do it now, because it will, if it's been on my mind for more than a day, clearly it's taking up space in my brain and I need to get it out of there because there's better stuff that can come in. So that's one of my tips is just, 5-minute rule. If you look at it and you're like, it's only going to take me 2 minutes to take the laundry, put it in and get it started. And it's only going to take, then I don't have to worry about laundry for an hour until the cycle goes through. And then that's going to take me less than 5 minutes. These are the little things that can keep you going. And that's been my kind of biggest thing is just if it's going to take less time than 5 minutes, I take action. Starting is the hardest part. And once you start, you just keep that momentum going. Make sure you are setting yourself up for success with this so that you are, you're doing like an atomic habit of keeping yourself rewarded, keeping that pleasure loop going so that you feel good doing these things. Because, stopping procrastination can be viewed as, a habit of one kind. Procrastination is a habit, and so is taking action. So start doing your best to just switch around and make the task smaller in your mind. I think all of us, when you think of laundry, you think of this big thing right in front of your face. Yes. And NLP can use stuff to just kind of take it and just like move it back, close your eyes for a second, move it back in your brain, visualize it getting smaller and smaller. And suddenly it doesn't feel so overwhelming. And when you can do that, there's a whole bunch of techniques where we don't have time for it in this episode, but you can shrink it down. You can turn the colors gray. And suddenly it's like, it's not this big overwhelming thing. It's just throwing a load of laundry in. It's just writing that email. It's just cleaning the sink. Yeah. It's not as big as you make it, but our brains do that to save us energy a lot.
Yep. I love that. Again, I feel like we could do so many tips because we are just constantly working on this. And I love that very much. Yeah. Atomic Habits is a great book because it also talks about habit stacking. Like you will only allow yourself to watch your favorite show if you are cleaning. And, I can do that with, if I'm into like a really good book, it's like you cannot press play on it unless you're walking around like folding clothes. But timing the tasks that you dread, I have timed myself doing the dishes. I was shocked that it was like 15 minutes or less. And that like includes like, leaving a pot in the sink to soak overnight. Like, make it easy on yourself, folks. But like, I was shocked because in my mind, it's like, it's 10:30 and it's going to take me an hour to do the kitchen. And like, I'm going to be so exhausted tomorrow. And you tell yourself all these stories. And if you time yourself, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's like in my head, it was this big thing. So I love that tip too. Yeah. Hopefully this has helped everybody. I know we threw a lot at you today, but the main things we want you to take home are, first of all, self-awareness and self-compassion. And then work with yourself. Try some of the techniques we use. If you have any techniques that we haven't mentioned that have worked for you, we'd love to hear them. You can email us at hello@5yearyou. If you're somebody like us that enjoys accountability and that does really well with accountability, and we would love to be your coaches and help you with this and share what's worked for us and cheer you on. And we can chat about that at hello@5yearyou.com as well. And yeah, I think that's it for today.
Yeah, I love it. So let's move on to the glimmers. Kat, what's your glimmer for today? What's that little thing that's lighting you up?
I'm trying to think. Like today I kind of have a day not at my desk. So as I'm done with this podcast, I'm practicing what I preach today. It shouldn't be a glimmer, but I'm literally about to go to my dentist appointment. And it has taken me forever. So I moved here a year ago and it's been on my list for a year, find a new dentist, go do the thing. And it's like, all right, sis, like it's time. You were supposed to have had 2 dentist appointments by now. And so I'm just proud of myself that I forced myself to make a phone call, which took less than 5 minutes, by the way, to schedule a dentist appointment. So I'm proud of myself. That's my glimmer. And I'm just glad to get it off my list. What about you?
My glimmer is my, I know it's hard to make those appointments because it's just one more thing. But again, you're taking action. And once you started doing that, it's just rolling. So it goes with it. Mine is my daughter today. She's graduating high school right away. And in the last 24 hours, she's gotten 2 scholarships. So It's just really, it's nice to see all the hard work she's put in over, 12 years pay off. It's really lighting me up today. It's like, wow, she's put the work in and it's coming to fruition. And I always love seeing that for anyone, whether it's our clients, our kids, whatever. I just love seeing when that work, you put the work in first and then you start getting these rewards. And it's like, it's just makes me I can feel my heart expanding as I talk about it. It's just, I love that for everyone.
Yeah, it's so good. So exciting. And she deserves it for sure.
Yeah. All right, folks. Thank you again for listening. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and we will see you next time.
Hey guys, quick disclaimer. We're podcasters on the internet. If you need to seek professional help, please go see your healthcare professional.